Just a seltzer tonight. Hey everyone, Daniel here with Slow Haste. This is, as I mentioned, I would be doing a celebratory Q&A video for hitting 2,000 subscribers. Before I get into it, I just want to thank you all so much. I've formed a lot of personal connections with a lot of you, and it's really great to see you continue to support the channel and what I do. It's really rewarding to see people finding, use out of this stuff that I'm putting out and kind of just talking through my process. So huge thank you to all of you. I do this because I love it, but at the same time, it's great to get some of the recognition and support that I do as well. A few of you have asked how you can support me and the channel, aside from just watching the videos. I actually have a Patreon that I made. It's patreon.com/slowhaste, and the link is in the description of this video and all the videos I put out. The lowest monthly reward tier is like $1, and it's just to kind of show your support. And then there are some other tiers with free music downloads, and then in the higher tiers, I actually offer one-on-one lessons and consultations regarding electronic music and synths and whatnot. So if you're interested, definitely click the link in the description, and yeah, let me know if there are any perks that you would be interested in me adding to, because I'm definitely up to kind of growing the page and offering more options that people want. So I'm just gonna start going through the questions list, and hopefully you'll learn something cool. Okay, Two-Eyed Boy asks, hell yes, congrats. What was your musical background that led you to this channel? That's a really good question. Let's see. Took drum lessons when I was a kid. When I was like 7, I started taking drum lessons, and I took them all throughout high school. I used to play in pit bands for musicals, kind of just like paid gigs over the summer. I also did musical theater when I was a kid. I sang in a choir. I played in the school band. I used to play clarinet, so music was just kind of around. I also played in like a pop punk band in high school. I played bass and sang. And then in college, I was in an a cappella group. And then after college, I played bass for a band. And when I was in Chicago, I was playing guitar and songwriting and singing for a band that I kind of put together and led. That actually kind of like ran alongside Slow Haste. The band used to be called Slow Haste, but then this project sort of evolved alongside it, and I just split up the two entities. Unfortunately, the band kind of dissolved when the pandemic hit, and then I moved to New Hampshire. And it's only been since like April of 2021 that I really started to start taking, posting on YouTube regularly seriously. I used to put little jams here and there, but I was pretty adamant about posting on Instagram a lot in terms of social media, just like doing the same thing, kind of just putting little jams and snippets, but I was limited to 60 seconds. And I felt like the day after I posted, the content was gone. Like it disappears because there's so much that comes out daily. With YouTube, I felt that the content was just like a little bit more permanent and easily discoverable for new people. It's not like you just open your feed on YouTube and you check what's new for the day and then you forget about it. That content remains there as sort of a resource permanently and is easier to find. So that's the reason that I kind of switched to doing this. And the platform of YouTube kind of lent itself to a more educational tutorial-based platform, which is something I've always wanted to do. I was actually a music theory TA in college. I don't talk about music theory at all on my channel, not for any particular reason. It's just kind of not at the forefront of my mind when I'm composing and arranging stuff. Okay, Magneto Clash asks, what is your workflow after you have some satisfying loops on one of the boxes, Digitact, OP1, etc.? Do you finalize in a DAW? How much time and effort do you spend on that? Do you master? Thanks. Thanks, Magneto Clash. That's actually a great question. It varies. For the stuff I put on YouTube, I don't master anything. I have a preset track that I record the audio into in Logic, and it has a bit of compression, and it has a bit of EQ, but I like to not alter it too much because I like that sort of, informational content to be as flat sounding as possible, so people are hearing what the machines actually sound like. For my released albums, Dandelion and Alpine Lights, done with primarily the OP1, I do mix them more heavily myself, and then I actually have them mastered too. I don't do the mastering. That's not something I'm super comfortable or familiar with, so I'd rather just pay somebody else to do it who I know will do a good job, who I know knows my music. So yeah, I do put everything in a DAW. I'm not DAW-less. I do, however, just use the DAW like a tool, kind of how I would any other item in my workflow. It's not like a centerpiece of my workflow, but I don't totally ignore it. Okay. Michael Lassiter asks, your Digitact/Digitone/Keystep configuration videos have been very helpful. Would love to see how you incorporate the blue box, i.e. an example of your workflow, etc. 1 second. Okay, I lied. So I was actually going to grab the blue box to just have it in the shot, but it's hooked up to a bunch of stuff right now, so I'm not going to bother. But to be completely honest, I don't take as much advantage of it as I thought I would, primarily because of the internal mixing that the Electron devices can do. So if I'm playing with the Digitone and Digitact, I just route the Digitone's audio through the Digitact. What I do use it for is a sort of central hub for my studio, because it has all of the audio inputs from the Digitact going out to my monitors and then into my audio interface permanently. And it takes up very little space. It sits on top of one of my monitors. I never have to move it. And it's basically inconsequential in terms of desk real estate. So I really like it for that. There are definitely way more affordable solutions for how I'm using it, but I purchased it kind of to future-proof myself in terms of other devices that I might get for inputs. So I think I'm good there, and I really like how it's functioning in my studio currently. Good question, though, and I want to do another video about it as I continue to kind of grow into the device and implement it more in the studio. Okay, New Flanged asks, actually, before I get into this, I always thought it was newfangled. Recently, I realized that my dyslexia was getting the best of me, and it's new flanged. So, fun fact, I guess. Hello, Daniel. Now that you open the floor for a Q&A, I would like to know more about your personal life, what choices/jobs you took to move to where you live now, etc. Is your music a full-time gig? Great question. So no, my music is not a full-time gig. I actually work in clinical research. So I work at a hospital and kind of remote as well. Not with patients or anything, but on kind of like the administrative side of clinical research. And I've been doing that for like 4 or 5 years now. In terms of choices and jobs I took to move to where I am now. So I actually, I'm from New England. I grew up in Maine and went to college in Boston. And then I lived in Boston after that for a few years, where I met my current girlfriend. We moved to Chicago because she was doing her PhD at U Chicago, and I worked there as well. And then she graduated this past year, so we moved to New Hampshire because she got a biotech job. So that's why I'm in New Hampshire, and I'm working at a hospital here. My career kind of allows me to work wherever I need to, and there are a lot of remote opportunities as well. So I'm kind of in a situation where I've just been able to work wherever, and as long as I have time and space for my music, then that works out for me. So yeah. Great question. And it's always interesting to talk to people, on the internet who all you see is their musical life, but that's obviously just, at least for the most part, such a small component of who they are and what they do. Okay. S now, or perhaps Snow, asks, cool, only 70 followers. My question would be, how do you choose your samples for the Electron Digitact, and what process do you use to obtain the sounds that you like? And the other questions are, do you create your own samples? And if yes, how do you create them? So I tend to use sample packs and my own samples, about a 50-50 blend of each, and also some stock sounds, really. I've mentioned before that I use the Blank Forms Tape's sample packs and the Baths Splice sample packs. Baths is one of my favorite musicians, and I found Blank Forms on Instagram and really, really like their stuff. So yeah, that's, I guess, like the process that I use to obtain. I'll buy the sample packs. In terms of my own sounds, it's all sampled from guitar, which I'll record using this microphone, the Shure SM7B, out of my guitar amp into the Digitact. Same thing with the modular synth. I'll do modular samples. I've even sampled the OP1 into the Digitact, so it varies. I don't have like a consistent process. I'll just, if I'm playing music more creatively just for the sake of playing, I'll always have my sample rig sort of hooked up. So if I find something that I like, I'll play that sound into the Digitact, or I'll play a passage into the Digitact and have it saved. Okay, Mark Allen asks, what's your creative routine? Do you have daily habits and set times? What are your main strategies for finishing songs? Hey Mark, hope you're well. Mark is actually one of my students from Patreon. He was the first student who signed up for lessons, so hope you're doing well. So in regards to finishing songs, I actually just posted a video about that. That's right here. There's a card somewhere. I always get the side wrong because the screen is reversed when I'm filming. Anyways, daily habits and set times. So yeah, there are like 3 components that I try to integrate into my daily life, or at least weekly life. And that's cooking, some form of exercise, and music. So yeah, I'll try to do like 2 of those 3 things on any given night. So I'll stagger them and try to say like, okay, like I'll do some meal prep when I get home from work, and then I'll work on music for an hour and a half before I actually cook dinner. I take it on kind of like a weekly basis. My schedule is like flexible enough where I can do that, and I don't have too many other obligations outside of work. and my hobbies and spending time with my partner. So yeah, it's nice to be able to be flexible with it. In terms of my creative routine, I guess I tend to do a lot of sound design, and I make sure I have time for that. And a lot of the times, my songs will like stem from a sound design session, because I'll like have to stop myself because I'll really like how something sounds and kind of like start to hear the rest of a song in my head. And I never disrupt that, even if I said I'm going to work on sound design. If a song idea comes, I, grab onto those reins and just roll with it. I also have to put in a lot of time to this channel in terms of thinking up video ideas and trying to like look into what people are enjoying on the channel and what directions I can take things in that will be fun for me to make, and kind of incorporate what I've also been working on that I think I'm confident enough in being able to teach people. So that's been an interesting experience for me to kind of like synthesize everything that I have going on and be able to package it up in a nice package for you all. So that's been a lot of fun too. Gage Evans asks, maybe an odd one, but are you a fan of the Her soundtrack or the Eternal Sunshine soundtrack? The vibe people like you and I seem to be generally chasing seems to be strongly influenced by those two films. That's a really good question. To be honest, I don't know any of the tunes on either of those soundtracks. I saw Her once and really liked it. And Eternal Sunshine was like one of my favorite movies in high school. I used to watch it with friends all the time. Maybe subconsciously it influenced me. But yeah, I'll have to check it out and see if I'm actually familiar with it without realizing it. That very well could be the case. Carl Colglazier asks, sorry if I butchered your name there, Carl. What did you like about the Chicago music scene? I've been out here for a few months and haven't really gotten out much. That's awesome. Chicago is a really great place. I was 25 when I moved there. And when I moved from Boston, I was playing bass with a band, as I mentioned before, and decided to kind of throw together a solo project and get something recorded before I moved, so I would have a product to kind of like share with people on the internet and say, hey, play in my band. So I met a lot of good friends. Most of my close friends who I still talk to from Chicago, I met through music, and because I was like, I really wanted to play in a band and kind of like front a band. So that's how I kind of got into the music scene. There were a handful of bands and musicians that I listened to quite a lot who were from Chicago before I moved to Chicago that were part of like the local scene there. So I just kind of went to their shows and was like a little nerd about it, and like went up to people and said like, hey, like I really like your music. I'm from Boston. I just moved here. I play music. And I actually formed a couple of decent relationships that way, and did some collaborations, and met the guy who masters my music now. So yeah, you just got to put yourself out there. It's uncomfortable, and it's like, I guess it's kind of like dating. Like you kind of just have to make a fool of yourself sometimes in order to find the right thing that lands. So yeah, just don't be afraid, or do be afraid, but do it anyways. I guess that's the best advice I have. But yeah, just try to put yourself out there as much as you can. Okay, and the last question is, what is your favorite pedal if you could choose only one? I had this prepared. It is the Caroline Guitar Company Meteor. I love this pedal so much. It's not even a question for me, which might be surprising. I have a video of like my best pedals for synths, and this isn't on it. But one thing I didn't really talk about when I was answering the question about how I kind of started the channel is that I got into electronic music through guitar pedals, as weird as that sounds. I got super into effects, and this kind of happened as I was developing my solo project because I wanted to play guitar, but I wanted some like stuff going on in the background with drum loops and effects and layers and stuff. So this was the first reverb pedal that I got, and I remember trying it out in Chicago Music Exchange. The first time I visited Chicago, I spent like an hour there playing pedals, and I actually bought it. Brought it home with me. I ended up trading on Reddit for a gold variant, so I don't have the original one. But aesthetics are important, and somebody was trading it up for the base model on Reddit. So I was like, sure, yeah, I like gold. Anyways, I'm derailing myself in so many ways right now, but yeah, so I ended up getting super into pedals, and then got into synths, and then got into looping and drum machines. And that's how I ended up getting into electronic music hardware in the first place, after I had already kind of been decently comfortable with recording in a DAW. Yeah, so pedals are near and dear to me. I don't really use them a ton now. I like to keep things in stereo when I'm using my synth setup, and I would have to do some creative, signal path modification if I wanted to incorporate different pedals and effects on different sides of the stereo field. So I just haven't bothered much with it recently, but I still have my pedal collection, even though my board isn't assembled anymore. And the Meteor was my always on pedal when I was playing guitar. It was like a foundation for my guitar tone when I was playing with the solo project by myself in Boston. And then when I moved to Chicago, it legitimately, like, no matter what the song was just always on, part of my default sort of reverb bass tone. And it's not a super like lush reverb. It's very splashy and kind of like granular stuttery reverb. You should look up the knobs demo for this pedal. It's what kind of got me into it. And still to this day, my guitar playing just like has the sound of that pedal embedded into it. So yeah, it's really great. Definitely my favorite, without a question. Yeah, so it looks like that is it. Once again, I appreciate you all so much. Thank you so much for sticking around with the channel and watching, and I'm really excited about where things are going. And I have a really, really long list of video ideas that I want to make, and unfortunately just not enough time to record them all. I try to stick to doing at least one every weekend, usually on Saturdays, as I'm sure you know by now. And if I have enough time, I'll try to post something quicker, or like a song if I have a full song that I feel like I can produce sometime during the week, usually Wednesdays. So always keep an eye out for those videos. Definitely share the channel with people who you think might appreciate it. There's a lot of content on some of the different devices, so hopefully this information can be useful for lots of different people. And yeah, I would ask you to subscribe, but if you're watching this video, you probably already are, because no one else is going to watch this. Anyways, y'all really mean a lot. Thanks so much again, and I hope you enjoy your day or night or whatever you got going on. Peace.